Alright, so continue on this part. We have now the measurement around where we need it, 0.7, just 1,000 of an inch, if not less, of difference. And I think we are also right on the spot to this dimension over here. We wanted it at 0.25, and I think the mark is around that point. Okay, so now the next step is the 0.6. So that is at 0.75 inches. No, that would be 75. 0.75 plus 0.75, that would be 1.5 inches. Alright, so let's try to make that mark at 1.5 for tool. The tool, I have not moved it, so it is pretty much at the surface. 1.5, sorry, give this to 1.5. And we're there. So you get this closer. All right. Okay, that's where we are. Okay, let's put just a little bit of material in, make this turn by hand, and that is going to give us our mark for the 1.5. Okay, you can make it a little tighter. Set, just to have a clear mark right there. Okay, now bring it out and remove it from here. So just to check, and then I'm gonna pause this. That would be your line and our reference. Okay, so the next step is doing exactly what we did in the first, and do it for this. Okay, calculate your lines based on the depth and your determination of whether or not this is direct or indirect. And after doing that, you can do it by hand or using the automatic feeder. All right, so I'm gonna cut the video here. I'm gonna do exactly what I just told you, and we're going to check just for the last part or for the last passing of this second stage of this cut. Okay, so let's see if my battery survives this last shot. So right now we are at a little bit over 0.65, sorry, 0.6. So I'm just going to give like one extra line, and also with a high speed. Okay, it's right there. So now let's double check again this part. So we are at 0.6. So now let's make again the same mark that we did before. Now 0.75. And let's repeat our process. Okay? We are close at that point. Yeah. No, that's a little bit too much. So I don't think it's visible in the video, but right there, just let me add just a line and a half in to make this mark. Alright. So now that we have that line extra, we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did for this section. Exactly what we did for this section. For the section now, let's do it in here. Okay. Again, I'm relying on your calculations. We already know that everything is here. It's at 0.6, so you're good to go. Okay, and here we are for the last part of the cutting this section of the step rod. So since we have that the cutter is really close to the live center, I'm gonna start just doing the manual feed, and once the cutter is in, just give the automatic feed. Alright? So once you're done with this, check the dimension of the last pass, and maybe just give one more cut. We are about 0.6 of an inch off, so just to avoid any damage to the live center, I'm just gonna make the last passing at that depth, and just leave it like that, and just gonna make the last passing with a high speed. And of course, in order to actually give the finishing that you are required here, you might need to do, you're going to need to remove the tool from this area and use sandpaper. Okay, I don't recommend you doing the polishing with the sandpaper by hand on this. You can just use the chuck with low speed and use the sandpaper to polish this section. Okay, so that would be the. Of course, also you need to, once you're done with that, you need to confirm that the diameter of this section, although I mentioned probably you're going to see a small difference. Instead of making it to 0.5 inches, you're going to see the the blueprints with 52, 53 inches. so then you have to deal with this contact over here. All right, so check the dimensions, the lengths, and because you're going to have questions related to that, to those characteristics of the roughness, the lengths, and the tolerance in your lab. So the last step is going to make the cutting of this element from here. Okay, there are two options to do it. We can use the cutter tool. You can use, sorry, we're going to have questions about some of these characteristics and this. In order to make this cut over here, we can just use the cutter element, put it on the tool holder, and then just spin this and try to make it there. That's one option. The second is, and this is what we're going to do, since we already have this surfaces machine, in order to avoid damage to these parts, of course, I'm expecting you to have this polished before doing anything. What we're going to do is we're going to turn this element. Okay, we're going to remove it we're going to remove the live center. We want to remove everything, and we're going to cut it with the. We're going to face the other end of this material. We're going to do the center, and we're going to use the cutter on this line. And the last step is going to be just to face that part to give the actual length. And we're going to do that in the next video.